Welcome to Baddie, a monthly podcast by For the Breast of Us, the first breast cancer community for all women of color, where we share real-life experiences, information, and education to help you live your best life after a breast cancer diagnosis. Welcome to Baddie. Welcome to Baddie.
Hey girl, hey. Hello everyone. My name is Tesha and I am a breast cancer survivor and a Baddie volunteer with For the Rest of Us, a community for women of color that has been impacted by breast cancer. Today, I have two thriver and survivors with us, Miss Deniece and Miss Ladonna. Welcome. And we are going to be talking today about community support and community resources. So before we get started, Ladonna and Deniece, tell us, our listeners, a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'll go. Hello, everyone. My name is Deniece Delerme. I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer 6 days before my 33rd birthday in 2016. I am a proud, almost 8-year breast cancer survivor and thriver. During my diagnosis, I created a brand called Slay Cancer, which really promotes breast health, being proactive about our breast health for Black women and being cute and slaying in the same time.
I know that's right. Well, first of all, we're gonna celebrate 8 years.
Oh,
yes. So we're gonna give it up. 8 years in remission, and welcome again. And Ladonna, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Ladonna. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I was diagnosed with stage 1 triple negative breast cancer at the age of 27 in 2015, and I have been in remission 8 years. Well, it'll be 8 years. Well, it'll be 9 years. Yeah, it'll be 9 years this June. And from there, I actually found out I had breast cancer because of my wonderful primary care physician. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and I lost her when I was 10 years old. And I was able to start getting testing at the age of 23 because I'm actually BRCA1 positive. And so with that, I used my voice and my story to just advocate for women, young women primarily with breast cancer or that are going to the doctors and seeing something wrong, but doctors are like, oh no, you're too young, and I'm like, no, advocate for yourself. And I'm actually proud to announce that as of this week, I officially have a nonprofit called a Pink Christmas Foundation, where the mission is to help women battling cancer, primarily young women who are fighting breast cancer and their families.
Okay, and Ladonna, well, we're going to celebrate you for being 9 years in remission, so we're going to give it up for
Thank you.
Absolutely. I am a 9-year survivor. I'll be 10 years in August. And we are also joined today by another thriver and survivor, Miss Stacy. Hey, Stacy.
Hi.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Stacy Kernisan. I was diagnosed in October of 2018. I actually found my lump myself. I was breastfeeding at the time, and then it was like, hey, this doesn't feel right. So I was diagnosed with triple positive stage 2B breast cancer. And as of March 19th, I am 5 years in ED. So, yeah.
Come on, 5 years.
Yes,
5 years. We don't care if it's 5 hours, 5 minutes.
Exactly.
I love that.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I am so thrilled and so happy to have all three of you here with us, and our as our listeners are, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation today again about community resources and community support. So, when you all were going through your journey, I know when I was going through my breast cancer journey, finding support. I know I had support through my family. They were my biggest supporters, my family, my friends, my sorority sisters. But finding community support, finding um, a support group, a community of those that are going through or that have gone through cancer. I know that was one thing that was important to me because I needed to be amongst I need to be amongst people that I can relate to, I can talk to. Um, Talk to me a little bit about and talk to our listeners about what was your process like of finding and a support finding a support group, whether it was online, whether it was in person. So, and uh, any one of you just feel free to jump in.
Um,
Well,
I,
I
oh,
was, go ahead, Deniece.
okay, okay, I'll go. I'll go. Sorry, Ladonna.
Okay.
Um, I can say, Tesha, like you, I was supported. My mom was and is also a breast cancer survivor. Um, at the time, and I was diagnosed, but I was looking for someone who was on the younger end, or people on the younger end who can understand what I was going through. Because
Yes.
although my mom was going through it or went through it as well, it's we had different things going on, as we all know. Just because we both have stage 2B breast cancer, it could be, a plethora of different circumstances, right?
Right.
So I had my family, my friends, my sorority sisters. At the time, I was dating my husband, so they were super supportive. But there's nothing like getting a group of women that know exactly what you're going through, right? So really, it was social media. I went online, and at that time, I was only finding, support groups for women that didn't look like us.
Yeah.
I had to actually be proactive about finding a group of women, if it was on Instagram, if it was on Facebook, doing a quick Google search, and from there just opened my eyes up into this whole new world, which we are aware of right now.
Absolutely. And hit the nail on the head when you said that, because I remember, going through my journey back in 2014, there wasn't a lot of groups that looked like us. And especially groups that not only looked like us, but that were in our age group. I was 36 when I got diagnosed, and the support groups that I did become a part of during that time, for instance, my church has a cancer support group, but I was the youngest one there, and I found that to have been the norm, quote unquote, the norm during that time, because I didn't see anyone that was my age. The only thing that we had in common was the fact that we had cancer. And it wasn't until after I finished my treatment that I found this organization, like For the Rest of Us. And other organizations just started to just evolve and just come up. And I'm like, I wish they were there when I was going through, but I'm so thankful and so glad that they're up and running now, because we can now be able to provide that support and provide that community to those that are now going through that. And even that are now going through breast cancer, but even after your treatment, because although I'm although I'm going into 10 years in remission, I'm still a part of not only this organization, but another organization called Pink for the City, Tiger Lily. There's so many more, so many other ones that are, like I said, that are now coming, that are not being established, and we are really seeing a lot more representation of us younger women of color that have gone through and that are going through breast cancer. So anyone else want to just jump in and just tell us about what was your process like of trying to find
Well,
support?
mine was pretty much very similar. I had my group of line sisters, I had my family, and I had my boyfriend. But And I also had one aunt that had gone through breast cancer. It's very heavy in my family. And I literally only have like one aunt that actually is still living. She's 20 plus years survivor. So talking to her and talking to her group, she was a part of this group called Sisters Network. And I went and met with them a couple of times, and all sweet ladies, but nobody was 27. So here I am stressing over, oh my gosh, I have to lose my hair. Oh my gosh, I have to lose my boobs. You know, all of the things that make you a female. And then at the time of being 27 years old, it's like, I don't want to lose these things. You know, I want my boyfriend to still find me attractive. So it was started because of my line sister. One of my line sisters was like, hey, I know this girl in Louisiana that I met over Instagram. I think you two should link. And she was, I think Mel was about 24 at the time. And then there was another girl that we linked up with in New York, and we came together and they kind of supported me. And then I ended up finding out here that through a mutual friend, her nieces had breast cancer. And the crazy thing is one of her nieces had breast cancer at 15, and she was not vocal about it at all. And she introduced us, and she was able to talk to me about her journey. Her sister had it at, I think, 18. They were a family that really had it very young. And so that's how I found my support system. But that was the biggest issue. There was no young people. There were nobody that looked like me. So the things that I cared about, it was like, oh, it's no big deal. You'll get your hair back, your boobs, you know, you'll get implants. And it's like, it's not the same as getting like a boob job to enhance. This is a boob job because I don't have boobs.
Because I don't have it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't have it. Even still, it's like, I'm thankful that I was able to get new boobs, but they're just not the same. And it was tough finding, you know, that group that actually, you know, I could run to and talk to. And like I said, the girls that I did have, they weren't here. So we just linked, you know, via phone, internet, and yeah. So
and for you, it was also word of mouth and social media.
Yeah, social media.
Yeah. So that really helped you. I know that as I was going through my journey as well, on the internet, and I just did a Google search of you know, online support groups, and I found a couple that were on Facebook, and I joined those, but they were very few and far between that you would see women of color.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it was just, I felt like I just needed to be in a group, so I can be, like you said, be able to share my experiences. But then when these organizations came, when I found these, I'm like, it was like a relief. I'm like, oh my
breath of fresh air.
God.
Yeah.
I'm able to find, you know, I can talk to somebody now.
Finally.
Yeah. So it was a relief, and I've been with them ever since. Stacy, how about you? What was your process like?
The same. I think the benefit that we have right now of having social media allows for us to just go and search and find and search until we find what fits us best. I started an Instagram page that was just designated to my journey as Stacy Strong 80, and I put certain hashtags on every post. And I think with that, I was able to find other people who liked my post, and then I followed them, and then you know, followed what they were doing. So it was kind of like that connection between more than one person, and then having other groups to follow. Like one of the groups on Facebook, Breast Cancer Baddies, is designated for women of color. And that was another one that I used, because I can go into the other ones and say, what did you guys do to grow your hair back? But it's not going to be the same as with, you know, Breast Cancer Baddies with women of color, because we're probably using different products anyway.
Yes.
So that was pretty much the way that I went about finding that network that I needed. And anytime someone came across it was, you know, Stacy, this person, you know, has just been diagnosed, what would you tell them, or how would you tell them to go about, you know, finding those resources? I could easily send them off. And my sorority as well, we started a page called Finer Fighters. As you see, I am a Zeta. So our page was Finer Fighters. And then we kind of just connected through our sorority of other cancer survivors. And so that we had that network as well. So it's been, it's the benefit of having social media these days. It's good sometimes if it's used in the right way.
Yeah, in this case, yes, it was very, very good. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
before we even move on, wait a minute. Okay, Stacy, you're a Zeta, so we got is the D9 in here? Ladonna, what sorority are you affiliated with?
AKA
Alpha Kappa Alpha.
I don't know, Bertie. That's okay.
Okay. All right. We have the D9. We have the D9 in the house.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, so
yes,
we got
I love
Alpha
it.
women, my sorority sisters, and we have a final woman. Okay, so we got
Yes.
all right, D9 in the house, and we
I
are
love
thriving
it.
and surviving.
Exactly.
And I like the point that you Stacey, that you mentioned too with your sorority and how they have helped you with with your journey as well. And I can attest for my sorority, well, for Alpha Kappa Alpha as well too. And just with the the support of my line sisters, the support of my chapter sorors, and then and with the sororities itself, having that be a part of a big part of the program to help educate for for women of color. So how wonderful is that that all of the all of our sororities have taken have used breast cancer as a platform at some point to educate and to advocate for for our health and to stay on top of it. So that is absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely.
I utilized the film on the first, like when I was diagnosed, that was like one of the things I posted all the time.
Yes.
And then that ended up being one of our regional, state and regional models, and that turned into something else. So it went
awesome.
up, up the chain from me doing it by myself every first of the month. I'm like, at the first of the month, what are y'all doing?
Awesome.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that feeling.
I love
that feeling on the first, and then with Alpha Kappa Alpha, we have the mammography
that
goes around and helps give mammograms to those that are underinsured or in areas where they don't have access to mammograms. So I love that. And with me, and I was also forwarded the opportunity once I finished with my treatment. I also have a podcast called Tesha's Tea Room, the place where conversations conquer cancer. So I do a monthly podcast where, and every month I always post on my Instagram page. It's first of the month.
Right.
Exactly. Time to fill them up.
Yep.
So and it's trying to, and again trying to build that community. And trying to establish another platform and another safe space for us women of color, and which is my focus area, young women of color, so that we can have that sense of community, so and I can be another resource to someone that is going through. We not only we stay on top of our health, but we advocate for ourselves. We are our biggest and our strongest advocates. If no one's not going to advocate for us, we are going to advocate for ourselves. But we not only advocate for us when finding community or support groups, but we also, even beyond that, finding mental health services, for instance. Because we know that cancer not only affects us physically, but it affects us mentally.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, talk to our listeners a little bit about, was there anything that you did during your journeys, or even now that you are thriving? What do you do, or what did you do to, advocate for, for your mental health? What were some things that you did?
I would have to say,
go ahead.
You keep doing this, so Marvin, keep doing this. After, I was going to say, for me personally, what helped me throughout the process of going through my treatment and even post-cancer treatment is really conversation and really speaking to anyone that would listen about my story and about what I've gone through these past 8 years, and how important it is to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, my mom was a breast cancer survivor, but when I went to the doctor at the time, she told me I was too young to have a mammogram, and I ended up getting diagnosed a year later. Right. So it's really important that we show up for ourselves, and don't be ashamed on what we're going through. Like you said, Tesha, it's, you know, physical aspect, and a lot of it is mental. Yeah. And I'm going to sit here and say, you know, I may be the odd man out, but I felt more taken care of when I was going through treatment than I do post-treatment in regards to mental health. Yeah. Because we were being babied, you know, we actually had drugs going through our systems, and we had a whole doctors, and it was just, you know, we were being babied. And now we're kind of got put back into the world, and it's kind of like, all right, cancer survivor, let's see what you can do. So reaching out and speaking to people and letting them know what's going on in your mind. And like we said before, going on Google and finding mental health resources. There's a lot of free programs out there, a lot of things we can read to help us go through what we're going through.
Absolutely.
So, communicating and just basically being an open book. That's helped me a lot.
Yeah. And I know oftentimes it's hard for us to be that open book, because, you know, especially in the African American community, you know, we've always been taught we don't talk about our business like that. You know, we keep that, you know, that stays in the family, that stays within these four walls. But we have to get out of that, you know, mindset, because it not only, you know, helps us, but it will help someone else too that's going through breast cancer. So I know for me, when I got diagnosed, I didn't share at first, but when I did, I actually shared my journey on my social media page. And I'm actually glad I did that, because I had so much support and so many people that said, you know, I'm so thankful that you shared your journey with us. And it was just, for me, it was kind of therapeutic. I was also afforded the opportunity to co-author a book where I also shared my breast cancer journey. Now that was hard. I will say, at the beginning, I didn't want to do it, but I had to have a talk with Jesus, and I had to have a talk with mom, and I had to have a talk with my mother. My mother was like, "Tesha, you gotta this is bigger than you."
Yeah.
Right.
This is bigger than you, Tesha, and you're here. God has got, for those that are believers, God has kept you here for a reason. You have a purpose, and you need to share your story. You need to fulfill that purpose. And I'm so thankful and I'm so glad that I was obedient and that I did, because it did help me, and I'm so glad that it helped others too. And which, once I did that, I was like, well, let me try my hand at podcasting, because I was actually a guest on a podcast, and I shared my story. And I'm like, wait a minute, this might be my niche, right? I'm not doing this, you know. And that's how, you know, Tesha's Tea Room came into play. And so I invite you all to please go to my and subscribe to my YouTube channel, where you will see certain different episodes too. And just to let you know, you come into the tea room.
Okay.
Be on the lookout. So yes, I will be in touch with you all. But we'll talk about that later.
Offline.
Right. Offline. We'll talk about that offline. But yes, but again, you just you know, that mental health, finding a therapist. That was my thing. Woo! That finding that, I tell you, that was the best decision I have ever made. Right. The best decision. And I don't know if any one of you have a therapist, and if so, what was that experience like?
So I can say I never thought about getting a therapist. Like, not once. I remember so vividly when my mom died, there was this older Caucasian lady who came and talked to me and my dad about the trauma and my dad, it being new to my dad, and you know, not knowing the help that it would possibly have been.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, hey, do you want to talk to this lady? And I'm like, no, like I'm 10, I don't want to talk to her.
Yeah.
And then when I went through my journey, never once thought about a therapist until maybe my second to last chemo session. And I remember my doctor vividly saying, Ladonna, you probably should talk to somebody about, you know, a mental health, a therapist, because you've dealt with breast cancer so much along your life. And now that it's you, you need to learn how to process it, because during chemo, it's like you're focused on the next treatment. You go through all of the cycles, the aftermath, and it's like, all right, let's go next treatment. But then when you get to that last treatment, what's next? And it's like you're left there to figure out what's next to deal with when you don't have any more treatments. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And I just put out there to social media, hey, you know, any recommended therapists. I got a few feedback, and then I went with the first lady I found. And when I say a breath of fresh air, like you said, it was a breath of fresh air. But for me, it was deeper because I had never processed my mom's death. So it was like you are unpacking from that 10-year-old girl to now being this 27-year-old female. A lot of things that I did in life and my life decisions came from the trauma of losing my mom. And one of the biggest things that I was told that I never paid attention to is I struggle with letting go. I have an issue when people leave me and don't say goodbye, because what I knew but didn't realize is that when my mom died, I never said goodbye. I remember the night she was very, very, very sick. Finally, my dad was finally like, hey, we need to go see your mom. Saw her so sick. She knew only who I was, but that was it. And when it was time to go, my dad said, hey, do you want to say goodbye? And I said, no, because I didn't want to see her like that. And then the next day she died, and I never got a chance to say goodbye. And so I would be angry or upset at times and lash out when people didn't say goodbye. And I'm like, goodbye, you know. And it was because I never said goodbye to my mom. And so now I'm unpacking not just my journey and how to live and love myself again in this new scarred up body that I have, but I have to learn how to process all of these things over the last 17 years at this point. So the therapist was much needed. I really feel like it's not advocated enough in the Black community in general, but more specifically when you're going through something like this, because you think that, okay, I gotta be strong. It's okay not to be strong. It's okay.
Absolutely.
You know, it's okay. And like you said, the importance of telling your story, it lets other people know I'm not the only one. And I've met so many people that just come to me on social media. Oh my gosh, Ladonna, I don't know you, but I feel like we can relate. And I'm like, listen, call me. I've met up with so many women here that are just thankful that I told my story. And I'm like, listen, because I don't want you to feel alone. I felt alone because I didn't have anybody physically here that I could connect with. So therapy was the game changer, and I wish more people would embrace it as a positive thing and not thinking, oh, I'm crazy, so I have to talk to somebody.
Exactly.
I think that the being, because we felt alone during the process, I feel like we're more apt to say, hey, this is what I was going through. This is, you know, everyone would be telling me, oh, Stacy, you're so strong. No one's questioning how strong I am. No one's questioning that. But right now, I'm pissed. Right now, I'm angry. Right now, my face is looking out because of
all of that. I feel weak.
Right. I'm tired. I cannot barely walk from my upstairs to downstairs.
Exactly.
I don't want to today. So it's okay. People have to understand that is okay to have that, to process that. And I think that also, like for me, for example, I, of course, had a wonderful support system. I had a therapist to talk to and all of that. But one of the things that I think came out of all of that is that I don't deal with too much craziness now. Like if people want to come and start, Because I
too.
can't.
My
And my
patience
excuse
is
is
10 when it
stress
comes down to
causes
that now.
cancer. So I
Oh,
can't.
girl. Stacy, that is it. That's what I think for real. I think all that pent up energy and all that
Yes.
whatever I had inside of me, it showed itself
Yes.
via cancer.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want to be like, I share my story. I share the good. I share all of the things that, like I just got a cortisone shot today because of chemo, other things are not working right. And so it's like things like that I share because people need to know that just because we finished a major part of treatment doesn't mean our treatment has stopped or the things that we have to deal with have stopped.
Absolutely. It's a
yeah.
new it's a new normal now.
Exactly. It's definitely
it is
a new normal
now. And people don't realize that, since just because you stopped treatment, they think that, well, Tisha's back to normal now.
No.
I am totally different now. My body is different. I'm different. My mindset is different now. Because we have gone through something traumatic.
Exactly.
And we live it every day. There's not a day that goes by that their thought is not in the back of my mind.
Right.
If I have a little headache, first thing that comes to my mind.
Oh,
I cut my little wrist right up. Be careful, it's always something.
It's like now I'm on alert. With any change, anything that is going on with myself, I'm on the phone with it.
My insurance is utilized very well because anything, I'm like, I need y'all to look at this. I need a scan. I need something because I'm not comfortable with the way something is looking. And I just had a hysterectomy due because of the triple positive cancer about a month ago. So it's always something. I feel like every time I get on the good foot, something else happens. Now I get back to square one again. So
right. I tell people once you're a cancer patient, you're always a cancer patient. Like for me, last year, I got another reconstructive surgery because my implants, I was starting to have allergic reactions to my implants. So I went through the deep procedure, getting the fat changes to my boobs. Well, that's great. Everybody's like, oh, you're about to have a tummy tuck. You about to have
okay. I hate that.
Yes. I'm like, it's not the same. Right. And then even still today, so at the end of last year, I went to the eye doctor. I have a swollen optic nerve in my right eye. And my doctor's like, okay, we got to take you to a neurologist. And I'm like, a neurologist? Like what? And so today, literally before I came here, I had to get an MRI of my brain because my doctor's like, we need to make sure that you don't have any brain tumors in your head that's pushing on your optic nerve. And I'm like, what? But of course he gave me other, scenarios and possibilities. But of course I'm like, oh God, I hope I don't have cancer in my brain. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, the good thing is you don't have any vision issues. Your vision's perfect. But we just need to eliminate all resources. And so going throughout the day, nobody knows other than my boyfriend, my dad, and two of my cousins that I always let know what's going on. And they're like, hey, are you okay? Like, miss it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not thinking about it because what my dad told me when I found out I had cancer, I lived by it. He was like, you don't stress it until you have to stress it. And so when I got that mammogram, I mean, not the mammogram, because the mammogram said I didn't have breast cancer. The MRI, which was a month later, is what said I had breast cancer. Well, it showed the tumor. My dad was like, okay, you don't stress it until they tell you it's cancer. When they told me it was cancer, then that's when I stressed. And so when they told me this issue with my eye, I'm like, all right, what I got to do? They're like, we need you to do this. We need you to do this. Are you willing to do it? I said, listen, when you're a cancer survivor, if somebody say something wrong, we want you to do every single thing to eliminate every single possibility. So it's like, it's just so much. Like you're always a cancer patient. Every time something goes wrong, you're like, oh my God, is it cancer? Is it cancer?
And we always have to take like a step ahead of things. Our mind is just we're just always thinking of many things at once. That's why my therapist said, like, we're going through PTSD.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And we're just
you're absolutely right.
So it's not easy at all, and like we all are beautiful women. I'm sure we don't look like what we're going through, but it's not easy to have all these things in your mind at one time, and then also physical aspects of things, you know?
Because on the outside, we look so normal. On the outside, we look like we're good to go. On the outside, we look like, oh, there's no cancer. We're good. But we do a lot of good smiling because we, you know, that's what we are taught to do as Black women. We don't share the side of us that is struggling. That's what we do. But in the same token, that's why I try to be as honest as I can on my page. It's like, but today, it
wasn't a good day. Yeah,
it wasn't a good day, and they need to hear that because every day is not going to be a good day, and they have to, and you have to be realistic about it, because it not only, you know, educates them, but it also empowers you when you're sharing your, you know, when you're sharing, you're supporting it, and you're supporting each other, and it's okay to let them know, you know what, I'm not having a good day today.
Yeah.
Or today I'm mad. And it's okay for me to have these feelings. As long as I don't stay there.
Right. Yeah, that's what's important.
My best friend would tell me that all the time. Tesha, you can have your moment. And I'm gonna give you a day just to you're not gonna stay there. I'm not gonna let you you're not gonna stay there.
And they say, I'm gonna cry, or you gonna cry, or you gonna boss up. Technically, I'm gonna do both.
I'm gonna do both. But I'm gonna cry. I cried every
cry right now.
I'm gonna cry and boss up at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you ladies were talking about some issues you're dealing with. For me, what I've been dealing with for the past maybe 3 or 4 years is infertility issues from chemotherapy treatment and radiation, and you know, that's kind of been my post-cancer issues that I've been dealing with. That's, you know, I didn't. You know, when I was diagnosed at the time, I wasn't thinking this would ever be a problem, you know, but when someone tells you you have cancer, that's the first thing you know, we're going to figure this out, and then you move on to the next. Just want to put that out there.
Your doctor didn't recommend any kind of egg retrieval?
Oh, no, I did egg retrieval. I did everything. I got my good pre-chemo, pre-radiation.
Right.
I used those, but we're still having some issues going on. And it's really simply from my chemotherapy.
The way your body is processing things.
Yes.
All right, well, ladies, shifting gears a little bit. Talk to our listeners a little bit about, you know, and we've touched a little bit on it, but I want to talk some more about it because I think this is a awesome. First of all, this is an awesome conversation. I am just loving all of this, but you know, when the community support and the support that we have for each other, and how we can support each other, and how we can empower one another. Talk to us a little bit about what were some ways that, or what do you do with other women of color that may be going through their journey? How do you uplift them? How do you encourage them? I know for the rest of us, they have one thing that they do that I love. They have what they call meetups in different areas. I actually hosted one here in the because I'm in Maryland, in the DMV area. So you know, I got to meet with some thrivers, and we all got together and we had lunch. So what are some things that you do or that you've participated in that, you know, helped empower you, that gave you that sense of community in the area where you are?
Well, first of all, I'm still sad that I missed that meetup. I saw it after the fact.
Don't worry.
I know. I was about to say, wait a minute. I'm in Maryland. I missed that one too.
Wait a minute. Where in Maryland are you, Stace?
I'm in Montgomery County.
What city?
I'm in Poolsville.
Okay, I'm in Laurel. So, but don't worry. We we're gonna have another one, and Deniece, you're in Atlanta. So
I went to the meetup in
Atlanta. Okay,
great time.
Yeah. So I saw it after that.
Don't worry, we got another one coming. So don't worry.
So what I will say for me, I like to give back, and so what was my Sip and Pink? I did my first event was a Sip and Pink, where I was scouting for a young woman battling breast cancer to raise money. Ended up meeting this wonderful young lady and I raised about $1,500 for her. Surprised her, had a nice little event for her, and just told her. She was like, well, what do I do with this money? And I'm like, I don't care. You want to blow it, blow it. I said, but I know, if it wasn't for my family, I had just bought a house when I was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
So if it wasn't for my family, bro, I wouldn't have been able to pay bills. Like, so do whatever. But her and we've been connected ever since. Like, that's my dog. And so we have started a support group. We're actually doing our first meetup Saturday. And we've invited anyone that is fighting cancer, recent survivor, trying to get through it. So we are going to start doing that. But that is also where my nonprofit came from, because this past Christmas, I was like, well, last year, a couple of my friends were like, Ladonna, you haven't done anything big yet. Like, what's going on? You did the Sip and Pink. What's next? And I'm like, I don't know. I have 2 small kids now. I don't have time to do anything, but I'm here if somebody needs me. And then one of my cousins sat down. She was like, Ladonna, now like, we have said this is your purpose. Your journey, your mom's story is your purpose. Like, don't give up on your purpose. So I said, okay, like, let me figure out what I can do. Mind you, I had my surgery that September. If you didn't do the deep, the recovery is tough. So from September to November, I was like, I couldn't do anything, but I did this event in December. And so what happened was, I found this young lady who she is battling pancreatic cancer. And she has 2 kids, and she was just like, telling them, I don't know if Christmas is going to look the same this year. So let me know what you want, and I can't promise you. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it happen for you. I last minute put together this event, a Pink Christmas, where I had her give me her list. I posted her list to social media. Hey, look, I'm doing an event. I need the community to help me make sure these kids don't miss out on Christmas because their mom can't really provide. Yeah. When I tell you the abundance, I mean, these kids got so much stuff. And then I was still able to gift the mom an additional, I think it was like $900 outside of what was already given to me. And what made it like hit me was, at the event, she was in tears, not because of everything that people had did, but the fact that she had just told her kids that weekend, mommy is down to her last $50. Do not ask me for anything until I get paid. And she was like, even then, I don't know if I'm going to have it. And from there, it was like, you're doing something.
Look at you empowering the community.
Yes. And so I said, you know what? I need to start this, because so many people were reaching out to me saying, Ladonna, I want to help next year. I hadn't even thought about this year, but I want to help next year. Like, what else do you do? I want to be a part of it. And it's like, you know what? Like, let's run with it, because if I make it a nonprofit, I can get these bigger sponsors. I can get more money. I can do it.
They love me. They love me.
Listen, and I'm like, tax write off. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bring me all your dollars. Yeah. So it was like, you know what? They always say, use your pain as your purpose. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is my thing. And when I posted it, everybody was like, finally, we always see you do stuff for breast cancer. You finally did it. And I'm like, okay, my bad. Like, I didn't see it. So that's what I feel like, my purpose is.
Showing acts of kindness. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. I think when, they say when God gives you a test, you have a testimony.
You have a testimony. That's right.
It's our responsibility to share what we've gone through, and like, I'm sure, like we all said, we have, or either have our own organizations, or we're involved in other organizations that basically fulfill the same purpose. For me, when I was diagnosed, I have a fashion and wardrobe styling background. So when I was diagnosed, I basically put my 2 loves together, which was fashion and, clothing and all that. And my newfound knowledge of this breast cancer world I knew nothing about. And I kind of put it together and founded Slay Cancer. One of the first events I did was called a Slay Cancer Fete. French fete is a French word for party. Caribbean, a proud Caribbean American, from the little island in the Caribbean called Grenada. I was actually Miss Grenada USA years ago, so I'm very connected in the Caribbean community.
Oh, we're amongst royalty. Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Queens. We all
Jesus, wait. Here, we are amongst royalty. Okay, now.
We're all queens, y'all. We're all queens.
We are amongst queens. Okay.
So I used my Caribbean connections in Brooklyn, and I put together Slay Cancer Fete. Really, it was empowering and educating the Caribbean community about breast cancer and breast cancer awareness.
Absolutely.
So we came together. We had a big party. If anyone knows Caribbean people, we love to party.
Yes, y'all do. And I'm all up in it too.
Yeah, exactly. From young to old, black, white, all of the above. So we came together. I had performers. We had flags we were walking around with, and throughout the evening, we were just spitting, breast cancer facts, and people were just donating money. So I ended up giving a good amount of money over to one of the Caribbean centers in the Caribbean and this island called Antigua. Mm-hmm. They had just very bad. Yeah, they had just went through a very bad hurricane. I believe it was Hurricane Irma at the time.
Okay.
So I basically put some money together and I sent it over to them, and it was just really empowering. Yeah. Because so many people came up to me during the event and afterwards and was like, I knew nothing about like breast cancer, especially with young black women. Yeah. It's just part of my friends, but an old white person's disease. That's what we thought it was to be, Yeah.
Because that's what we saw. That's all we saw.
That's all we saw. Even though, we had parents that were going through it. I mean, in general, this is not for us. So I just made it so that, that cancer is not a topic that should be shrouded in darkness or that we shouldn't talk about. Let's be proud of what we're going through. Absolutely. And proud of it, and let's embrace it and put it together. So once I put my Slay Cancer Fete together and I made that happen, people were just like, this is it. We're gonna have fun, but we're also gonna educate.
I just want to know when's the next.
I was about to say, when you have one, another one.
Because we
playing one in DC.
All right, I'm about to bring it back. I'm about to bring it back so you guys could come join in on the reggae and the soca for fun. And educate and empower people, okay?
Yes.
You gotta do it. Ladonna, we waiting on your and your next event. Stacy,
exactly.
Whatever you doing, we waiting on yours too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. So we all doing something. This is what I'm talking about. Look how we are advocating and empowering the we are, when I say we're bridging the gap, we are game changers right now.
Yes.
We are
game. You don't see us in the forefront of the ads and the information that's being delivered out to the masses. You don't see us. So
they want to see us now.
Right. That relationship or that connection to it, it's not there for Black women. So yes, that's why it's important for us to do that. And like, as I stated, I had, started was a part of starting the Finer Fighters group that we have. We started off with just 8 of us when we first initially started doing everything. In about 2 years, we were up to 250. So that's like a big, knowledge that was given out. And so then we started making it, not just about breast cancer, but other cancers as well. Mm-hmm. But we at least had that community where people were able to, this is what I'm going through. No one else is going to understand this fight that I have right now, or I'm on this medication. What is it doing to you? So being able to have that kind of connection is something that it was important to me within the sorority, because of course we all do the breast cancer walk. We all do that because that's our national initiative. But at the same time, having some more of it, more than just in October that we just walk and raise money for, something to have year round. Another thing that I did and participate in every year is I had the deep flat reconstruction. But with that, I didn't like seeing my scars. So I was a part of tattoo color. It was Tay Inked Side Out. It's her name. Tay is her name. And she tattooed my whole front part.
I can't wait to get mine done, girl.
Oh my God. I love that, Stacy.
Huh?
I love that.
I love that. Yes.
So go to Tay. If you're in Maryland, go to Tay, because she is very good at
we're gonna talk offline.
Yeah, very good at like doing that. And every year she does one. She picks some survivors and she does the tattoos for them. And each year I go and actually support her and support whatever survivor comes in and kind of talk to them. And last year what was funny, I posted all on social media doing whenever she's doing that, trying to pull people in to participate, because she doesn't charge them anything for the tattoo. And the individual that came and got the tattoo, I'm standing there talking to her, just have a regular conversation. We end up both triple positive, just have a conversation. Come to find out after the fact, she's a soror. And I was like,
wow.
between all the talking we did
Yeah.
and you leaving. So, and so we've been very close and connected off that. And she's very good at voicing what she's going through as well, because she's right now, I think she's getting her septin treatment. So she's still, being able to, kind of talk about it with people. But it's definitely important to have those, faces out there that look like us, so people can understand that, you might have this right now and it's tough right now, but there's things and resources out there that can help you, deal with the dry skin, deal with the frustration, deal with the anxiety, deal with all that things that come along with the results of us having gone through treatment.
Absolutely. And that's why it's the importance of having these communities. Absolutely. Because like you said, there's somebody out there that may be going through the dryness right now. Well, wait a minute. I know somebody that has gone through it. Let me connect you to. Yeah. And I always say, I'm sure you may have heard it. They always say that this is a sisterhood that we never thought we would ever have to be in. Yep. But I would say, for me, I thank God for this sisterhood. Yeah, I think, and it not only for the sisterhood, but it also it gives us the opportunity to meet other thrivers and survivors that you've never met before. You connect with people from all walks of life, all over the world. I mean, I got
you meet some of the best people, and
then as you're talking and communicating with them, you find out all these things that you have in common. Like I'm talking right now with three survivors. That's in sororities, and we can talk about those things and just talk. Again, it's just how empowering is that? I mean, it is
empowering.
It is so empowering, and it helps, and it gets you through. It gives you that strength that you never thought that you needed, or it gives you that when you have those weak moments and you just don't feel like it. You got somebody that be like, all right. That come on, Tesha, you got this. That's gonna be your be that virtual cheerleader. If you're in one here in Maryland, and you have a friend or a thriver that's in California, you can hop on Zoom or FaceTime, and they could be that virtual cheerleader for you. So
or the opposite, they could be the person that you just can vent to and be like, "I'm mad today. I'm frustrated.
I need to cry."
And they understand, and like like, you want me to beat it up for you?
Yes. Yes,
absolutely.
You know what? I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I've noticed with people who are trying. They're not malicious and good spirited people, friends. But sometimes I will complain about people, and the first thing they would say to me is, "Well, at least you're a survivor. Well, at least at least you're still here. And I'm like, of course.
Well, you got the good cancer. You got the good cancer.
Or you got the good cancer. Or you got a things like that. Okay. Where it's like I know they're not malicious people, but it's like. That's very hurtful, because I would,
sometimes they just don't know what to say.
They don't know what to say. You know what I mean? So with people where you can vent to, like, of course, I'm grateful and thankful every day that we are here, right? Yeah. But there's sometimes, like you said, Stacy, that I'm mad. I'm just mad. I'm just mad at the world.
Exactly. Because I look at my front of my body and I've got. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you have that community of women or people that understand that you kind of never stop being mad. So, or you never stop talking, it never stops affecting you. I honestly have people that have said, well, no disrespect, but you still talk about cancer, like as if you have cancer. And I'm like, I don't, but it's still affecting me. It's like once, like we said earlier, it's trauma. So at the end of the day, if I feel like today I want to talk about how cancer has pissed me off, even though I'm almost 10 years in remission, I want to talk about it. So you have that community of people that understand that, I'm never going to stop talking about it. It's always going to affect me. There are always going to be moments where, it hits me in my head like, dang, you really had cancer. Every day I have to look at these scars that remind me I had cancer. You don't have to take off your clothes and see scars. I do.
That's exactly what I gotta say.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, I joke about it, but I look like I've been shot like 17 times with all of the cuts and everything.
I call myself Frankenstein.
you're like, oh, you're good. Like I say, you say you're good now, but it's like when I look in the mirror every day, there's something. I'm still fighting to grow my hair 5 years later.
Girl,
I'm still dealing with no eyebrows.
Yep, girl.
I'm still dealing with.
This is pencil, y'all. This is pencil.
Exactly. So
I don't even do the pencil
today. So it's
this
like
is all you got.
dealing with those things. We still have to fight every day to make it. And some days, like my husband can tell, he'd be like, "You're not feeling it today," and I'm like, "Nope," because I barely was able to roll out of the bed and stand on my feet because my feet hurt from the joints in my knees. Right. So, yeah, people don't realize or understand that. And that's the reason why we keep talking. That's the reason why we keep having to say, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm dealing with. Cancer does not stop once you're considered in the NED. It is still an ongoing battle because you've got things from, like for myself, I just finished taking my, last round of tamoxifen. And I've gotten all kind of issues. I got to deal with the weight gain. I got to deal with the joint pain, even though my oncologist will tell you that it doesn't cause joint pain. Well, I ain't had joint pain until I started taking this
until I started taking it.
So what you telling me?
Where did it come from?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, and then by having these support groups, when your oncologist is telling you this is not a side effect, and you go into these groups and say, hey, do y'all experience this? And everyone is like, yes. Yeah. Then it's like, okay, I know I'm not as crazy as I thought the doctor's trying to figure out.
Well, that goes to your advocacy, like we were talking about earlier, Tesha. Yes. Like you know what I mean? Like for a fact that this is happening to you. Maybe years ago before your cancer diagnosis, because when my doctor told me I need a mammogram, I was like, okay, I don't need it. My doctor told me I don't need a mammogram, so clearly I don't. But you advocate for yourself, So
my best friend did that. I guess like at the beginning, it was so much information. I wasn't really voicing myself. And so she went with me to one of my appointments and I asked for a scan. And the doctor said, well, we don't think you need the scan. And so she said, so you're going to write it in your notes that she asked for it. And you told her no. And then she was like, oh, well, I guess we can get it done then. You got to advocate for yourself.
You have to. If no one else advocates for you, you better advocate for you.
Yep.
You are your best and strongest advocate. And when they don't listen, you better go to somebody else that will.
That's right.
And like you said, if cancer is hit, we are going to continue talking. We're not going to stop because we have to be there for the ones that's coming after us.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
We got to educate the ones that's coming after us. We got to bridge that gap because we die at a higher rate than other communities.
Counterparts, yes.
Yeah.
So we got to bridge that gap. But listeners that are out there, I don't know about you all, but this has been an awesome conversation.
Yes.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation about community support, about empowering each other when we are going through, because that is what it's all about. And that is half of your battle when you're going through cancer. And we cannot stress enough having that support because you don't have to go through this alone.
Yep.
And I want to thank you, Stacy. I want to thank you, Ladonna. I want to thank you, Deniece, for taking the time out to come on this wonderful podcast, Baddie to Baddie, and sharing with us and having this wonderful talk. I invite you all that are listening to also listen to Baddie to Baddie on your Apple Podcast, Spotify, or whatever platforms that you listen to. And I also encourage you and would like for you to also subscribe to Tesha's Tea Room, place where conversations conquer cancer, on YouTube. And again, you ladies are coming on the Tea Room. I just want you to know that. So I cannot wait to have you all on. Yes. And with that, I want to thank you again for taking the time out to have this wonderful conversation with us. I wish you, all three of you, love. I wish you good health. And we'll be seeing you all soon. Everyone that's listening, take care, and we'll see you on the next episode.
This is another Baddie creation brought to you by For the Rest of Us. Don't forget to subscribe to Baddie wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram at For the Breast of Us, on Twitter at The Breast of Us, and check us out online at breastofus.com. Thanks for listening.